Hello and welcome to the Business of Wholesaling podcast. I'm your host, Drew Carroll, and today I am with the Sicilian brothers, Nick and Tony. Gentlemen, how you guys doing?
Good. Thank you so much for having me, Drew. Feeling great. Adam?
Glad to have you here. Adam's in the back. We won't see Adam, but Adam's producer.
That's my fault.
It's all good. It's all good. So you guys are from Dallas, Fort Worth, DFW. You guys are investors. So tell me a bit about yourselves. What do you guys do?
So we are specialists in creative investing, right? We're direct-to-seller acquisition specialists, if you will. Tony's been doing real estate for, 20 years now?
Yeah, about 20 years.
You want to tell them what your day-to-day operation's like?
99% of my life is family counseling. So I spend a lot of time in front of sellers, helping them deal with their situations and try to help them get out of probably the worst situation that they'll ever find themselves in, while also making money without it being creepy.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good one.
Yeah. And what about you? Nick? What do you do day to day?
I handle the systems and processes, right? So I'm the one that handles the CRM. As long as everything is going good, if I'm doing good at my job, I don't have to do much, right? Because it was all upfront load. We're obviously currently looking for a new CRM. Just going through changes. We're always doing that. Systems process, I do a lot of the automation, the cadences that go out, making sure everybody's getting touched, right, in a sense. If you're working with direct-to-seller, you're working with leads, anything with sales in general, right? You have to make sure that you're going through your pipeline multiple times in a systemized pattern. So that's what I came in and started doing.
So
aside from that, every day I go live. We go live on YouTube or one of our social media platforms or directly in our Discord. And we're building a community in DFW and nationwide, right? So we're kind of moving it into Discord so it can be nationwide. But we're just trying to help people, not lose their ass in 2024 and 2025. Yeah. There's a lot of quote unquote disinformation out there, but it's you can always get mixed up in what's out there. There's so much knowledge out there. So trying to filter out what is good, what is bad, what is going to set you up for success. Just trying to help people.
Yeah, we were chatting a bit before this, and you guys mentioned the whole wholesale hype and 25K one call closes, and you guys are very much against that. You guys operate, you have a family practice basically, and you just want to help sellers. And I can see how that's transitioning to your community and wanting to help other investors as well. But tell me your perspective on this, on the ecosystem of wholesaling in its current state.
I think it gets back to just trying to avoid the pitfall of get rich quick, right? I mean, everyone out there is saying, hey, you can do this. Hey, this is the easiest way to be self-employed, post-COVID. Everyone was looking for a job that they could work from home and make money and make real money, right? And then it's also trendy. I'm a real estate investor. Oh, I'm part of this group. All that stuff feels good. It's snazzy, but it's tough because if you're really doing direct-to-seller stuff and you're in the weeds and you go out to these people's houses and you sit on their nasty couch and get bit by a dog. I got bit by a dog last week. Get bit by a dog, right? Just trying to buy a house. It's different than, hey, let me just do it from my living room, right? And so I try to. There is a huge difference between actually doing the business and then just being a part of a Facebook group and saying oh, I can do this.
What pisses us off in a sense is people buy marketing,
yes.
Right? So whether or not it's free or paid, that marketing is just an Instagram post, it's a Facebook post, it's somebody out there saying. It's funny because that marketing has now shifted to solar and door salesmen, right? Hey, listen, you wanna be successful, just get out there, join my roofing team, and because they're the ones that need to be successful. They're the ones doing the marketing, right? Those wholesalers that are out there saying, if you want to be rich and you want to get 50 grand by Christmas, come join my team, right? Like, because they need you. You don't need them at the end of the day. You think you need their knowledge, but everywhere knowledge is free, right? So trying to get down to actually how to make a sustainable business out of it. Real estate, everything that we've said, that even what they say, making 50 grand by Christmas, that's doable, right? But it's doable by taking the correct action steps, right? Not trying to skim 5K on wholesale deals only, right? Taking it from a deal first approach, making sure you understand everything, being like an actual creative investor, not just a one trick pony wholesaler, right? We wholesale all the time, but we don't go into it with that approach only. Does that make, like, if that makes sense?
It totally does. And I like what you're saying about like buying the marketing, right? Like, it's propaganda at this point. Like, it's day trading, right? Like, look at day trading. Day trading is not a thing, right? Like, day trading is people who have got lucky a couple times and then they started to market that recording, right? You don't see Warren Buffett or the late Charlie Munger going, oh, these guys are onto something, right? They're just sitting back laughing, going like, yeah, they'll figure it out eventually. They'll have to get away from that. And if they want to actually make money in the stock market, they'll have to start looking at companies and businesses and valuating them and understanding their value and where they fit in the community and where, and like that's what it all comes back to. And so it's refreshing to hear you guys have that perspective of this industry. Because I agree, like, it's this whole one call close, 25K in 5 minutes, is not doing anybody any help. It's not doing investors any help, and it's sure as hell not doing any good for sellers and people who are genuinely in need, looking for solutions to their problems.
You're the first person in my career that's compared it to day trading, and
I do it all the time. I literally say it's investing. It's just I say dollar cost averages. I say every investing term. I say it's like every rental is like bars of gold, and come on, man, you got to start listening to your younger brother.
So the fact that you just explained it as day trading, that's accurate. I think it is. It is false advertising and it's propaganda, and it's very annoying because I will sit in someone's living room and I'll have a conversation with them and I'm explaining why someone might beat me, and I usually can like identify the number that someone's going to come in behind me and offer. And I'm like, Saturday there was a lady and she's like, oh, you can come at 12. There's someone coming at 3. And I was like, all right. So I went at 12. Usually I want to be the last one, but timing was perfect. And I was like, yeah, I honestly think I'm going to be around 125, maybe 130. And I was like, but honestly, I could see someone offering you like 140, 145, maybe 147. And she was texting me this morning that she has someone, it's not as much as she wants. And I was like, well, when you get back from looking at your new house, give me a call because I'm pretty close to what you actually want. And she was all excited. So I think the difference is knowing your competition and knowing what you really have to bring to the table. And I don't think you do that by sitting behind your computer in a Facebook group or cold calling from your dorm room. Like, I think you do that and you only know how to do it really when you're sitting in front of them on their nasty couch.
Yeah.
So just to piggyback off that, right? Sorry to cut you off. Even if you're not able to get to the couch, right? Just changing the mindset. I don't know who put this out there that you have to lock up a contract on that first touch. We talk all the time, or at least I do, apparently, where your first initial goal should be just setting the appointment, right? Your first touch, whether it's a warm lead, cold lead, whatever it is, it has to be about introduction, has to be about discussion, who you are, what you can provide. Otherwise, why are they going to want to take your offer when you make it, right? It doesn't have to be discussing numbers on the first call. It's just setting expectations. If you can't set an appointment to get belly to belly with them, then set an appointment to call back, right? Like just setting some process up involved, trying to bridge that gap from first touch to contract is very difficult. So if we break it down to first touch to introduction to I'm going to follow back up with an offer, or I'm going to follow up with an appointment or something, right? Now it's totally different mindset.
In most situations, in most marketing, like you said, anybody's trying to sell a dream, what they're trying to do is like position this business model as like, or any business model, this one in particular, as transactional. And like, follow my course, let me show you how to do this transactional business. All this is you getting a contract signed and you selling that contract to somebody else. It's super simple, right? And what they're doing intentionally is removing the key part, which is the relationship part of it. And there is a relationship element to every single piece of business. And I think that this is what this kind of new age of marketing is like caught onto, is like, if we can help people, or if we can make people understand that my course will help them through this part or this bottleneck of their business or this strategy by removing the relationship element out of it, because here's the trick, that's the fucking hard part, and just teach them mechanics and make them believe all they need to know is mechanics, then I can sell my course all day long.
Sorry, and also the people that you're selling to are terrible at relationships, and they have no emotion. The only emotion they have is to buy the thing, the course, right? They don't fully understand or comprehend there was a study done probably 20 years ago that like the number one most dramatic and stressful time that a human will experience is moving. So it's like it's more than death.
Buying and selling, right?
Right. So it was moving. So somebody moving was more stressful than death. There was a study. I don't know who did it and when, but it doesn't matter. The point is that when you understand that, and you're sitting and you're talking to someone and you're helping them through the emotional stages of that, like you have to be pretty emotionally connected to yourself to walk somebody and navigate them through those waters. So yeah, I think there's two businesses. I think there's the business of selling to people that want to pretend to do it, and then there's actually people that actually know how to do it and do it.
Yeah, there's operators and there's talkers. Yeah. So how does your like deal first approach and kind of like this relationship approach differ? Like explain to me how your process works.
In all real estate, there's 4 aspects of real estate, right? There's acquisitions, there's dispositions, there's underwriting, and then there's marketing, right? So once you understand those 4 things, right? If you want to be a successful investor, you have to understand all 4 things throughout. Obviously, when you're first getting started, it's very difficult to do all 4 things. A lot of times people focus on acquisitions, right? And they're like, all right, how do I talk to sellers? How do I find sellers? Well, that's all part of marketing, whether or not it's free or it's paid. But it's understanding the avatar. We always use the term avatar. So that seller avatar, how do I find them, right? Where are they? Their probate lists, their pain points, right? You have the 4 pillars. You have the time, price, motivation. I feel like I'm missing one. We're going to say time again. Duck, dive, dodge, and dodge twice, right?
I can't even think of it myself now, yeah.
Yeah, but that's what sets us apart. It's not just numbers. It's not just, I'm going to pull this list, I'm going to hammer through, or I'm going to have my cold callers hammer through, right? And then they're going to find me 5 gems, in a sense, and then I'm going to call, I'm going to see if they want to sell, and then I'm just going to send them a contract at the offer that they want, right? And then I'll go and I'll work them down later on because I overpaid, right? This whole backing into deals, that worked really well when the market was screaming away in an upward projection. But unfortunately, we're going into unsettling times, right? And I'm not getting political in any sense, but we have no idea what's on the other side of 2025, right? No matter who wins or loses. So how do you weather the storm? It's buying right. It's understanding all aspects of real estate. So if you if you want to wholesale only, you have to understand every number involved. You have to understand the rehab costs that it's going to take to make that property be the ARV, right? Otherwise, your ARV is just going to be way under. And someone down the line, it's just dominoes. Someone down the line is going to get stuck with that shitty deal. Whether or not it was the original seller because you couldn't move it, or, yeah, I was able to get a 5K assignment on it. Great. That end buyer now is stuck with a shitty deal. Yep. And that end buyer is going to be hurting because that end buyer's in a flip that he can't get out of or something, right? So that's what sets us apart.
Yeah.
That was long-winded.
Tell me about, well, good thing it's a long-winded podcast. Tell me about talking to sellers, because I'm very intrigued, because you said, like, right at the beginning, right? Like, you're a counselor. And I was literally just talking to somebody the other day about this as well, which is funny because, again, this is something that gets passed over in the propaganda and the marketing you see on YouTube and all this kind of stuff. Would this relate, like, if you think about it, you're trying to get in front of motivated sellers, people who are in financial pain and willing to sell their home at a discount to get out of pain. That implies that they probably have a lot more issues than just a house they're trying to get rid of, right? So I think that kind of speaks to what you were saying before about, like, being an acquisitions manager is like being a family counselor. So Tony, tell me how you think about that when you first start talking to a seller. Like, what is your thought process? Are you strictly thinking ARV and numbers, or are you thinking, who is this human? What is the best way to communicate with this human? And what does this human actually just genuinely need?
Yeah, I don't even think about numbers. I don't even qualify the house or the lead. I don't look up. It's just a conversation. I think you said something in your intro to that question and I was like, oh, I don't even think about that. I make them explain why they need me, and then I let them decide if I get to be the one that talks to them or not. Like, I'm very, it's got nothing to do with the asset. It's all about the situation. So I'm constantly like, hey, all right, well, how can I help you? Or, it's not what do you owe? It's not how much do you want? It's not, it's totally just an open dialogue. It's interesting when I don't cold call. I never cold called. I guess I've been fortunate enough to always have inbound leads, thankfully. But whenever I hear a cold call, there are some really good cold call people that know how to get through the first 15 seconds and then carry on the conversation. I think for me, I'm a little spoiled, and so I get the privilege of being like, well, you reached out to me. Like, I didn't reach out to you. Right. You put your information on my website. So then I have there's a hierarchy of my attitude a little bit. And then usually I can navigate the waters very, very, very easily. I don't even care if we get a lot of houses that are listed right now, right? So they're retail. Yep. I talk to those people just as much as I talk to the lady who owes nothing and the foundation's messed up and they need to sell quickly because they're behind on taxes $50K. So I think to me, it's very just relationship, just constantly, hey, I might not be your highest offer. I'm just your best offer because I'm always going to perform. So I said this to one of our kids in the community last week. I said, a lot of people take like 5 things and disqualify the lead. Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't know that area. Oh, that house needs, structural problems. I can't work with that. Or the house is too old. Hedge funds won't buy that. That's not going to be a good rental. And they disqualify the lead.
It doesn't work the 10% rule.
I do the opposite. I go through hey, these are the 10 things I know I can do. Mm-hmm. And probably even more than 10 things I can do. But I go through them and then I just start, okay, that not going to do an ovation. That's probably not going to work wholesale. All right, they need to, and I just start crossing off, and then the funnel gets narrowed into, this is really what I need to do for them, and then I just hammer on that. Once I know, I'm like, all right, these are the 2 options I have for this person, and then I go and I execute on those 2 options, and usually it works.
So That's interesting. I had a thought when you were explaining that, and I think having a bunch of different dispo strategies helps. And anybody who's listening to this who is a beginner investor, don't let that be super daunting, and don't let that be the reason not to start taking action. But I think it's so important to me when I'm talking to entrepreneurs as a whole to like help them understand that when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail, and that I don't advocate on diversifying and trying to do everything yourself, but you do need to be so in tune with your customer that you need to be able to offer your customer multiple solutions. It doesn't mean you need to learn a whole different industry and a whole bunch of other stuff and get your realtor license, although I'm sure that's quite helpful. But going deep and just understanding your customer, it's not
We tell people not to.
So help me. How do you guys, with your community, what are your first steps when you have a new investor come in? How do you help guide them, and like what first steps do you suggest they take?
The one thing, sorry, I know you're going to go down a rabbit hole, that's fine. But the one thing that I think is really important, and I didn't know this when I was young and doing real estate, it's okay to not know. It's absolutely okay to not have the answer. It's absolutely okay to not buy the house. It's absolutely okay to not make an offer. It's okay to be unsure. It's okay to ask for permission to go get help, right? I think that transparency that we have with people, I have a lot of transparency with sellers. Does that mean that I educate them on every single step in the process? Not really. Because my job is to kind of coach them through the process and make sure that the goal is whatever I said it was going to be, and that's what they get. Wherein, like, I think you get stuck in the beginning of trying to do real estate, like, oh, well, I got to make money. Of course you have to make money, but if you focus on making money, you're going to trip on all these other things while you're trying to make money. When you can just look at it and have a conversation, and then you relate it to something in your life or something in your family, and you're on the same like path with them, and you're walking down this road, and there's a communal goal and there's a communal solution, and you both win. And I think it took me a really long time to be okay to say no or I don't know, and just go get the answer. And even if the answer is, and I say this to sellers all the time, even if I'm not the solution, I'm going to tell you, yeah, Becky's the solution. That offer, if it doesn't have an option period, and yeah, that's great. Take that and run. Like, that's a way better offer than my offer. And, if you have any other questions, call me back, right? So I think that's important, is transparency. It's really easy to sell people right now, especially when they're in an emotional state and they're going through stuff. It's really easy to take advantage of people.
Yeah.
I never want to be the investor that takes advantage of somebody. I just, I got to be able to sleep at night. So that being said, yes, we do make money. Yes, my transaction fees are significantly higher, but that's because I'm solution orientated first. And then I see where I can widen my spread and I make money.
Yeah.
So what were you going to say about the new investor?
So for anybody joining Discord, right, we are putting out a 10-step how to find your first deal platform right now. I'm revamping that. I don't have it right now, but that's where I'm going to point people. Other than that, everything we tell people is like, I don't want I never expect to be able to have to sit there and explain people what ARV is, right? Like, that's not what we do. We don't teach people real estate. We help them not lose their ass. So if they have a little bit of education, our platform, our community is perfect for people, right? Because everything that we do, everything that we're mentoring or we're going live with, just out of habit, we're explaining it like we're already explaining all the details. So if I do say ARV, I'm going to say after repair value, and this is how you calculate it. But I don't want to market to that individual because I'm not a school teacher. That's not my goal, right? Like, we're just operators. This is what we find successful. If people bring us problems, we're going to help them. Perfect example is we do every Friday, we do a free call Friday. It's free to everybody, and it's a free topic. So in these live calls, I've given out our own Leadzolo leads, and I've listened while people have worked them, right? And we've gone through like, all right, well, feedback, I've given feedback, we've walked through the whole process, comping it, showed all the things. Just from giving feedback, we had one of our members go out to a property. He locked up the appointment on a pre-foreclosure. Sorry, it was a probate list. Called probate, locked up the appointment, went out there. He ended up meeting other wholesalers there, and he took our quote-unquote method of just working the seller, not the house, right? He went live afterwards. He made a video about it. But he's going to make 25 grand on a quick acquisition and disposition from our Discord, right? Just by making small changes to things that he's already doing, right? Like, that is huge for us because I love that, right? I love to be able to give back and like, hey, listen, try these minor tweaks.
It's like the 6 minute mile, right? A lot of people just need to be in a place where they're seeing people do it. Like, we could talk about it all day long. We can all read the friggin' books or listen to the YouTube video. But it's different when you're in a boiler room setting or something like that. There's like somebody's there going, call the lead. Like, there's nothing else to do. There's no more procrastinating. There's no running to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just call the lead. And I think it's so refreshing to hear that, like, that's what you guys are focused on. And we're not recreating.
I told one of our members 2 weeks ago that I would fire him, right? Like, listen, if you work for me, I'd fire your ass. So just take that with a grain of salt, right? Like, you're going to have to work harder if you want to be successful, even if you're working for yourself even, right? Yep. The hardest part about it, being an entrepreneur, is setting your own alarms, setting your own time. Every Monday, waking up and kicking ass. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Oh, Saturday's here? I'm going to take the weekend off. No, you're not. You're going to work twice as hard now, right? Like, and especially if you want to work leads, these people, right, when I'm talking about that avatar, they need help on the weekends more than anything.
Nights.
The nights.
The night, I mean, I used to do TV advertising, and my favorite leads came through when I marketed on the, like the evening show during, like, I Love Lucy reruns, right? Like, those people, they got the free whatever channel is, the local channel, and it's on, and they're just up thinking about all the bills, and they can't sleep because it's hot and they have no air conditioning, and they're miserable, and they're watching some rerun of, again, I Love Lucy or King of Queens or something like that, and then they see my advertising and they call, right? Like, those are the leads that you want. You want to be around when people are in need.
One of my favorite things.
You want to be able to answer those questions right then and there.
One of my favorite stories was door knocking, and it was the owner of Quest IRA. He said at one of the seminars, it's like, I made so many deals happen on Sunday afternoons. I would go out Sunday afternoons and door knock the pre-foreclosure list. And his mentality was, in Texas, people are going to church on Sunday mornings, and they're praying for a solution. They're praying for somebody to come by and help them.
Yep.
And here he comes 2 hours later, door knocking, right? With Christ's pat on the back, and he's going to solve their problems.
Yep.
So just anything you want to do to make your business successful, right? Like, that's what I love about real estate. You don't have to build out a big team of cold callers. Everybody thinks that's the way to go, but you can door knock. You can do whatever you want. You can do a solo entrepreneur thing, do a couple deals a year.
It's way more fun.
And be happy.
It's way more fun, too, than having a team, trust me.
Yeah. And it's
everybody goes for the glitz and glam.
Yeah, and I think it's true of any business, right? Like, the people who just do the work win. right? The people who are trying to flash on Instagram don't. Like that's really just what it breaks down to. Which is why, like when we were talking earlier, like yeah, you guys are operators. Like I identified that really, really quickly because operators stand out. They really, really stand out. So what is the goal of your company? Now, I know you're seller focused, but a lot of people are like, oh, we want 10,000 doors, or we want to do 5 million this year in wholesale deals. Is that how you guys track goals, or do you guys go, we help sellers, and however it works, it works?
We find it out along the way, right? So we're very goal oriented. Every quarter we sit down and we have to reevaluate the goals for the next quarter or so coming forward, right? There was 2 years ago when we started in this building, right? 2 years ago on the 5th was when we moved into this office, right? So we started before there somewhere else. But we wanted to build 1,000 rentals, right? We wanted to build a portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
That quickly dried up, right? We realized we don't like tenants, we don't like headaches, right? We don't need to scale. Maybe, well, notes are kind of nice. Like, so we start sprinkling a different thing, right? Once you're being a creative investor, you can do anything with real estate. Once you're doing the direct to seller portion. So we've changed it along the way. I don't want to have a big old portfolio of rentals. They're a headache. You need to have somebody managing them.
There's a lot of different reasons, but the ultimately
Change it along the way is my point. Is right.
There is no bright shiny object at the end of the tunnel, right? I mean, you're doing this because you're doing it, and you're doing it because you like it. If you're young and on Instagram or social media and want to do it so that you can pose in front of a McLaren, like you can do that by going to any parking lot at a restaurant and a steakhouse and like take a quick photo. But I don't know. I don't necessarily have a end game.
Yeah.
There is no retirement age. There is no, I'm going to sell all my rentals and roll it into something else. Like, it doesn't, I don't think like that. I very much stay in the day-to-day and think about the team and, hey, did we put up another deal? And that's it.
Enjoying the process.
Yes, there are rentals. Yes, there are notes. But
it's also market specific. It's what the market will allow you to do at that time. So at the time, it was very easy to build rentals. Well, that paused, right? So you always have to be evaluating what the market's going to allow you to do. Otherwise, you could be jumping into commercial 3 years ago and there's a huge wave coming, right? Like, so always make sure that the deal makes sense.
Adaptability, I think, is key for any entrepreneur. We're like, holy cow, we're in the middle of flux ourselves. And it's so exciting. Like, it's so exciting because we've been stuck in this one mindset of what should work for our industry and our company. And then we just like teased this new idea and we were just like, oh man, we're onto something. But we all had to sit back and remind ourselves of our little leadership summit a couple of weeks ago to go, we didn't find the thing. We found adapting to what our clients are asking us is the win. And so what we just need to do is make sure as a team that we're just constantly ears open and adapting. And so long as we're always adapting, we're going to win. And that was a huge distinction for us because we were just like, we're the PPL guys and we do our own media and ha ha ha. And it's just like, that was cool for a second, but now what's the next evolution? And staying in front of that and like creating our whole company culture and values around adapting. I just revolutionized our company for sure.
I think you have to. If you don't, you become irrelevant very, very, very quickly. If you're a one-trick pony, if all you do is connect the dots from contract to 5K, that's great, but you're going to only be doing that forever. If you're only doing sub-twos and you have no money to put in the game, at some point, you're just not going to be, I don't know, on the happy end of the legal spectrum. So I think you just always are watching, listening, learning, and then executing and applying what you learned. Oh, don't do that again. Was it a friend of ours said at Craig's, his lesson of you can make a mistake, just don't make the same mistake twice, right? Mm-hmm. So it's okay to mess up. Just try not to mess up twice, otherwise you're an idiot.
Yeah.
To go back on what you were saying, I don't want to stroke your ego at all, but I absolutely do love everything that you guys have built. Your new platform, I like it. I love it. You guys have given us as users control, right? I used to have to email all the time, and I felt like I was bothering you guys, and now I'm like, all right, I can go through, I can play time zones with my leads, I can turn different counties on and off. We got a lead all the way in the boonies, and I got yelled at. I'm like, that was one of our counties. All right, let's dim that one down a little, right? Like, because obviously, do I want to spend that marketing? But giving the users the control to do that while still maintaining an amazing deliverable, right? You guys have good leads at an amazing price. I don't see anybody else in the marketplace providing that.
Well, so, I greatly appreciate that, and wait for things to come, because our whole perspective is like demystifying this black box of marketing. And like you were touching on there, like without letting like the quality go down or whatever. And that comes from acquiring leads from different sources is typically what happens. And then lead quality drops. So we're just kind of unveiling the Wizard of Oz will be the next step. And I'll kind of leave the tease there. You might have noticed you can buy motivated leads and MLS listed leads. Well, maybe we'll start seeing a whole bunch of like, these leads came from this person. These leads came from an SEO website. These leads came from a TV ad. And you can bid differently per type, per county, and then you can track in your CRM what actual marketing channels from Leadzolo are converting, not just is Leadzolo converting. So it'll be...
That's huge.
Oh, man.
Because we said it before, right? You have the 4 acquisitions, dispositions, underwriting, and marketing, right? Like,
you said exactly
people want
that
to scale their business, and they're not understanding the marketing. And a lot of times people say... They'll ask us, what's your marketing? We do a lot of PPC as well as PPL, right? So, because you have to spread it out. I would much rather, starting out, do not spend a penny into PPC because you're just learning. Yeah. You're just paying your own education at that point, right? You might as well set money on fire, right? Go and pay a professional to do marketing for you, right? Just work the leads. Just do the thing that's going to make you money. And then when you get successful at it and you want to go burn money at marketing and trying different things and setting up your own website and SEO words and all these things, like you want to go on Fiverr and find a VA, yeah, go do that then. Not until you've closed a couple deals, not until you have a track record of helping sellers, right?
I think that's so important, because a lot of people starting out kind of miss the point that when you're starting out, what it means is you're at the beginning stage of skill acquisition. So what you need to do is remove all the skills you don't need and go as deep as you can in the skills that you have to do for your business. And that was when we came in, that was our whole perspective for Leadzolo. I don't want to make this about me, but I'll just finish the thought here. But it was like, we just wanted to go, guys, don't learn marketing. It's fucking hard. Like, it really is hard. And you know what else is really hard? Sales and dispo. So why don't you go worry about sales and dispo? I'm going to go worry about the marketing, and together we'll all be super successful. That was our whole thought process coming into it. And I think people miss that because they think being an entrepreneur means controlling everything. And I'll tell you, over the last 5 years of my journey being an entrepreneur, I've learned that every single day is just an exercise in what you can let go of, and what you can say no to. So,
yeah. And what are you actually good at?
Yeah, that's the
we're
question.
big on the passion skill matrix. So we make everybody, like, we push that in Discord and everything. Like, when you're first starting out in real estate or anything, if you're trying to do something different, right? We do the passion skill matrix, where it's you find your sweet spot, find what you're good at, delegate what you're not. You have to cut off this, right? It's just burning up calories. Yep. Once you, like you're saying, focus on what is going to make you money, what you're good at.
Yeah. And we're even leadership right now in our company. We do like a book review, and we're currently reading through Who Not How. And I recommend the book to everybody. It's exactly that. It's like, man, these people get so far in their company and so successful, and then they go, wait, I'm doing this wrong. I'm pushing upstream. There's an easier way to do this, and it's not by trying to figure out the how of every single thing and then creating the SOP and then finding the right person who's going to actually do the task and then finding the person who's going to manage the person who's doing the task and just go, you know what? Who's way more qualified than me at this? And we did this in our team, right? Like, we're nerds. We're a bunch of friggin' nerds. We don't know anything about sales. So we got by on our good looks for a little while. But yeah, we just had to come to the realization that we're not going to learn sales. I'm not going to set up HubSpot. What a disaster that was, me trying to do that. So we went and hired a COO. The first thing we were looking for in the COO was that he was an absolute master in sales, because we had other stuff covered with the rest of our C-suite. And it's like, that was our hole. And it's like, we're done trying to figure this out. We're hiring. And we don't care how much it costs. And that's what we did. You guys mentioned landlords, being landlords a little while ago. So tell me about your favorite type of tenant, squatters. What has been your experience with squatters thus far? And tell me about the viral video.
The first thing about squatters is they don't like to pay, and then Nick can take over.
Thank God we're in Texas. That's all I have to say, right? So we went quote unquote viral for kicking out a squatter. They weren't. This was a house we just rehabbed. It was sitting on the market. There were actually people driving past to come walk in, right? Our sales girl, Daniela, was outside, and we got a call saying, hey, there's somebody naked walking around your property. So Tony and I booked it over there, and it was mostly just a B&E, a breaking and entering at that point, right? Because we were so quickly there. They jimmied the lockbox off, and they got access to it. By the time Tony and I got back there, thankfully, she put her clothes on. And I just, for some reason, we do a lot of content. This is what we do. I just pulled out my camera and just started recording. And we just kicked in the door, and they had just gotten...
Hey, we knocked.
Yeah, well, we did knock, and she answered the door like it was MTV Cribs. Hey, how can I help you? This is not your property. So anyway... we were there for about 2 hours. Cops came, showed them documents that we owned it, and she was trying to use the yard sign as like a business card. Like, I bought the property from Mr. Sherlock. So it was great.
We got lucky.
Yeah.
We got lucky.
That got us on Dr. Phil, but it's a serious subject in America right now.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say we got lucky because we showed up. I mean, it's really important, especially right now. I don't care what state you're in. It's really important not to let your properties stay vacant, go vacant, or unknowingly go vacant and unknowingly stay vacant, right? You have to know what you own and keep track of it. A lot of times people aren't that quick, and if we wouldn't have gotten her out that day, that hour, that night, it could have been a 2-year, ordeal.
Because it doesn't take much.
And why is that? So I don't know. Like, I'm not even I'm from Canada, so I don't even understand the laws and why it's such a big deal.
From the cop perspective, right? Mm-hmm. Once this has happened, this happens to people all the time, right? Cops get called, hey, I have such and such in my property. Problem is once the cop gets there and says, do you have any document? Do you have a lease? That will, even if it's fraudulent, the cop is going to defer to the courts.
Right.
He's going to say, hey, my job is to make sure nobody gets shot, stabbed, and if they do, they're going to have a nice, clean chalk outline. Other than that, I'm not in a civil dispute, because that's what this is. Nobody's, and it's happened before. Tony's almost got arrested at our own houses. We have a deal right now that we're talking to people, and mom is elderly, and she's trying to live in elderly care. There are siblings trying to sell the house that mom lived in to pay for elderly care. One of the siblings is just living in the property, not paying rent, not paying anything, just staying there. So now it's a family dispute, right? everything nowadays, right? You're talking about a different time. People are hurting. People can't afford to live. And not to get political or anything, we're seeing a lot of increase in homelessness and illegal immigration, right? Where are people going to live? Where are people going to stay? It doesn't take much to jimmy in the back door of a vacant property and then just kick it to the courts.
They're not even vacant a lot of times.
Yeah.
You know, they're just people walking down the street and they see, a for sale sign or a for lease sign, and they go inspect. And as long as no one's there in the moment, if they get in and the utilities are on, hell, if the utilities are off, they even stay. So I think a lot of it just got to do with opportunity. And if they see an opportunity in a vacancy, they're going to try to take it. I don't blame them because, if you're homeless.
And it's not always wrong, too, right? Like, it's not always on the squatter's perspective. Like, there are people that are getting wronged, meaning there are third-party criminals that will find a place that is for lease or up for rent, and they will literally schedule a tenant to go in there, collect the first months and the last months, and then disappear. Sign a fake lease. Now this person put up $3,000, $4,000. Right. They think they're leasing the property, but no, now they're actually squatting under Mr. and Mrs. Landlord's property, right? Like, unknowingly.
That's unbelievable. I genuinely didn't know it was that big of a deal. So does this change like how you think about things when you're acquiring properties? Like, do you think about like if somebody has a vacant building, are you like you really go out there and take a look at it and kind of think twice about it, or is it not quite that big of an issue?
So the vacant thing isn't. If it's vacant, I would prefer it to be vacant, right? But if the story's too good to be true, then I'm always a little hesitant. Also, if I can't get access, I'm always hesitant. If you can sniff out the crap when you have to. But has it changed my approach? Yes, I don't
trust anyone.
I don't trust anyone. No, I don't buy anymore from. There's a non-performing tenant. Okay, that's great. I need a copy of the lease. I don't have a copy of the lease. Okay, well, you have to have something, even if it's the expired one. I need it, right?
Yeah.
I definitely try to vet the sellers out significantly more than ever before. The last two or three, like I said, one took 2 years. This one that we're finishing up is about 12 months. So
there's nothing you can go back for them. All right. So you can't go after them, quote unquote, for back taxes, back payments, right? Because you're shelling out all this money.
Yeah.
The entire time we were in we had 2 years of property taxes. We had 2 years of lender's fees, holding costs, everything. And then at the end of it, we finally got the rights to the property, but that was it. She merrily walked away, and there's nothing on it. She's on to her next one to move into.
Wow.
It's just the nature of real estate, the nature of the beast right now.
That's interesting. So got the content, kind of went semi-viral, and how did the Dr. Phil thing come out of that? I'm very interested to hear that.
He was running a special, so he's got Merit, right?
Merit Street Media.
Merit Street Media now. He's doing, if that's over in Arlington, I think, in Fort Worth in Texas.
Oh, he's local. I didn't realize he was local to you guys. Okay, cool.
Yeah, he just started up his own. I think they bought like an AT&T plant or something because it's massive and it's beautiful, and they're doing out some great reporting right now. They're doing a lot of market-specific timepieces, and one of them was on squatters. So they called it The Great Squat. If you go on Merit Street Media, type in The Great Squat, you'll see us two on there. There was another person from Florida. That person had feces thrown at her. Just stories right now. It's happening. There are groups on Reddit that are pro squatting. So like, hey, if you want, like, this is what you need. You need a fake lease. You know, it doesn't take anything to get fake leases, fake IDs, fake pays, right? Like
paychecks,
fake paychecks, pay stubs, right? Like,
They want a mail. They
right
want a piece of
now,
mail
it's
that has
so
the address and
easy.
name on it, right? That's what they want, because that's where the cop puts his hands in the air.
Yeah. I mean, the once you turn it into a civil dispute between he said, she said, the cops have no.
And then it's who has more money, who has more power, like who has more.
Who's going to stay standing the longest? That's really, it's an endurance game.
If they take it from, let's just say, a tired landlord. Let's say somebody inherited an additional property. They've had it for 20 years. Now all of a sudden it's got squatters in it. Are they going to have the energy, the willpower, the money and the capital to go fight through the legal battle to get this person out? It could take 2 years. 2 years of kicking the can down the road, right? Every time you think, oh, next Tuesday we're sitting with the judge and we're going to get this cleared up, and all of a sudden she doesn't show up, he doesn't show up, they get a new lawyer, something, right? They just kick the can. And now you have to pay more and more and more and more.
Yeah, so I think you asked earlier what has it taught me. When I was first starting out, I managed a ton of rentals. I had rentals, and I was pretty excited because Texas was very pro landlord. I could easily evict someone in virtually the same month that it went vacant or behind in rent. I could essentially get them out the next month, which meant I had a very quick turnover process, which as an investor, that's important, right? Because vacancy can destroy you. As Texas grew, people got wiser. The court system is full and run down, and there's a lot of lawyers out there. And you could easily pay someone a couple $100 to do a filing. In fact, in certain cities, counties, JP judges, you can walk in there and ask for help, and they'll help you
Fill out everything.
Yeah, they'll help you fill everything out, right? So it's become really challenging. The bad deeds of a few have turned into, opportunity for others to profit on the chaos. So it's very challenging. I think that it's very disheartening.
Yeah, I always wonder too, like when I hear these stories, these people just spent this much energy and time and intelligence on something worthwhile. They'd probably be very successful because they're pretty savvy in what they're doing here. Like
I say that every day.
Yeah,
man.
Careful, if you give them a Facebook and put them in a real estate group, they could turn into a guru very quickly.
Yep, that's about all it takes.